This is so many moving parts for today, especially with getting people here. You've got the branches of the military. How long does it take you to put this together?
Well, when I first started, I would say it took me a good 10, 11 months. But now that I've been doing it for so many years, it's a little more controlled, a little more organized. But I'm going to say comfortably still about 5, 6 months. It depends on the process and what I need to do first, which first and foremost, I have to get FAA approval for our flyovers and our skydivers. So I usually start that in about August, September.
You always have the most amazing speakers. Tell us a little bit about today's.
So Major General Mark Graham was actually referred to us as, you might remember from last year and back in 2010, Colonel David Sutherland, who I believe is, not to take away from anybody else, but is probably one of the best speakers that we've ever had, the most powerful speaker who really just embeds what Memorial Day is all about to our audience. He referred Major General Mark Graham to us, and I read his bio, and he has a really great story to share, and he's had over 35 years in the military, so there was nobody better.
Also, lastly, I know that this touches you personally, and you and I were just having the conversation about all the people that come out every year, trying to get more young people involved, but tell us about your own connection to the military.
So my father is a Vietnam Army veteran, and my family has served every branch of the military. I have a cousin who's still currentently serving the Navy and a cousin currently still serving the Air Force. I am on a veterans committee within my own industry. I actually I chaired a career and resource fair for the Torrance Chamber of Commerce back in 2010, trying to help our veterans who are transitioning back into society find employment. And I just recently joined the Military Affairs Council with the Torrance Area Chamber of Commerce. So although I have never served personally, I truly believe I bleed red, white, and blue.
Not only that, but you did serve. Thank you for your service, being a family member.
Of course, when you first come out here and you see all the military personnel and the families of the fallen soldiers, I think what comes through my mind is that we're just so blessed to be in this country, and I sometimes just take for granted the fact that so many people have died for our freedoms. And as a politician and someone that represents the people in Rancho Palos Verdes, I think about all of the people in our city and how everyone should have a voice, and the reason they have that voice is because of what we're honoring today, and that's all the fallen soldiers and Memorial Day. Well, I mean, when she sings "Proud to be an American," and you look back and you see all the people waving their flags, and they just look so proud about being here today. It's just an incredibly magical moment, and so I always tell people this is one of the events that you really can't miss in our community, is to come out to Green Hills for Memorial Day. And if you haven't done it, I beg people to do it. And next year, like they said, is going to be the 50-year anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War, the conflict, and the wall will be there again, honoring all the fallen soldiers. And so, what a terrific opportunity next year to be out here and do that.
This is one of my favorite events of the year, getting to come out here with Green Hills. They have done such a great job in partnering with the city every year for Memorial Day. It's such a great experience to honor those that have fallen in the service of our country, folks that have given the last full measure. And to really honor them in conjunction with Fleet Week. So we have a bunch of the Navy and Coast Guard and the rest of the first responders up here. It's just a great event. I'm happy to be here every year and looking forward to it continuing. And it's exciting when the Navy Band will be playing all of the service songs. Interested to see if they'll get the U.S. Space Force song today. And then they have all the veterans for those individual services stand up. It's always really exciting to see all of that and see all of our residents who served honor their fallen brethren.
I'd like to welcome everybody here today to our annual Memorial Day observance. We're deeply honored to join with you today to honor the sacrifices of the military men and women that have laid down their lives in service for our nation.
have the distinct honor and pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Major General Mark Graham, United States Army retired. General Graham retired from the United States Army on August 1st, 2012, after almost 35 years of service. His final position was as the director of the United States Army Forces Command, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, please help me welcome today's hero, Major General Mark Graham.
No, freedom isn't free, by Commander Kelly Strong, and I quote. I watched the flag pass by one day. It fluttered in the breeze. A young Marine saluted it, and then he stood at ease. I looked at him in uniform, so young, so tall, so proud. With hair cut square and eyes alert, he'd stand out in any crowd. I thought of how many men like him had fallen through the years, how many died on foreign soils, how many mothers' tears, how many pilots planes shot down, how many died at sea, how many foxholes were soldiers' graves. No, freedom isn't free. I heard the sound of taps one night when everything was still. I listened to the bugler play and felt a sudden chill. I wonder just how many times that taps had meant amen when a flag had draped the coffin of a brother or a friend. I thought of all the children, of the mothers and the wives, of fathers, sons, and husbands with interrupted lives. I thought about a graveyard at the bottom of the sea, of unmarked graves in Arlington. No, freedom isn't free. Families of our fallen heroes, wounded warriors, veterans, esteemed hosts, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us on this day of remembrance. I stand before you today deeply humbled and honored to address the 38th Annual Memorial Day Observance here at Green Hills, a testament to the enduring spirit of patriotism and unity that defines our great nation. Before I begin, I wish to extend my heartfelt gratitude for our hosts, for their commitment to honoring the memory of our fallen heroes and their dedication to ensuring that their sacrifice is never forgotten. Your efforts have made this event a cornerstone of this community and also a beacon of hope and remembrance for all Americans. Today is about the men and women of our nation that have given everything for others, all ranks, backgrounds, colors, and faiths. Memorial Day is a solemn reflection, a time to pause and pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our freedom. It is a day when we come together as a nation to express our gratitude for their unwavering commitment and steadfast devotion to duty. From the shores of Normandy to the mountains of Afghanistan, from the jungles of Vietnam to the deserts of Iraq and beyond, they have answered the call to duty with courage, honor, and sacrifice. As we gather here on this sacred ground, amidst extraordinary display of patriotism and reverence, I am reminded of the words of President Ronald Reagan on the 40th anniversary of D-Day, when he said, and I quote, "We will always remember, we will always be proud, we will always be prepared, so we may always be free," end quote. We are here to honor and remember those who served our country and made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom. These patriots answered our nation's call, and their efforts, struggles, and sacrifices shall never be forgotten nor forsaken. While no military award or medal can ever express the gratitude or the sorrow we feel toward these American heroes, it is only fitting that we try and find a way to thank them. And while memorials and gravestones are symbolic, our gratitude is genuine, and we must never forget what they have given for our country. Many Americans live their lives virtually unaffected by war, but our military and their families have touched in a way that has changed them for a lifetime. There are no communities who have lost friends and families who have lost loved ones, and they all grieve with them. It is our most sincere hope that our expression of honor and gratitude will in some small way acknowledge and provide comfort as we remember these sacrifices. Their gravestones are symbolic, with names humbly displayed, that we hope will stand for an eternity and remind our nations of sacrifices that have been made by so many courageous service members and their families in the name of freedom. As war still rages around the world, the controversies continue to be deliberated, but those that have carried out their duties, those that have given the last full measure of devotion, will live in our hearts and our souls forever. And their sacrifices will never be the basis for deliberation. Our nation's fallen heroes are peoples from all walks of life. Some are American citizens by birthright. Many are naturalized citizens, and some still seeking the prize of citizenship to our nation. They come from all backgrounds, but are admired and honored all the same. Their commonality is that they love this country, love their families, and love those serving alongside, with a devotion that goes untold until the tragedies of war speak to that love. So today, we can display our love by honoring our fallen, by embracing those left behind, and by celebrating the lives of these great American human beings. We know all too well that some did not return home as we would have prayed. We have those reminders: a voice, a sound, a smell, a photograph, a memory that arouses our grief and our desire to return to a time when things were what they once were. But we will never be quite the same. We will not be able to look behind and change the circumstances that have brought us to gather here today. But we can keep our fallen heroes' memories alive. Each one of these heroes has a story to be told, a legacy sewn into the fabric of our nation's colors through service, through sacrifice, and through a common purpose to our nation. Their stories must remain alive. And as a nation, our azimuth must remain true, for their sacrifices deserve nothing less. I'm reminded of the powerful song sung by country singer Alan Jackson that states, and I quote, "Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day?" End quote. For us gathered here today, our world did seem to stop, if but for a moment, and our lives have been changed forever. We must never forget why we are gathered here today, and we must never forget about the costs of freedom. I urge you to keep our deployed service members and their families in your prayers. Embrace your neighbors and never forget that this journey we have embarked upon affects someone in your community and will change the landscape of our nation for generations, generations, and generations to come. Our fallen left wives, husbands, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, parents, grandparents, friends, their homes, communities, schools, and churches, and an existence of relative comfort and security for the sake of others. They served. And in John 15, verse 13, it states this, and I quote, Greater love hath no man than this, that a man may lay down his life for his friends." End quote. It is an honor to be with you today. Service members and our veterans are a group of people we hold in highest regard every day. They do not make big fanfare. They do not ask for much. Yet just as they served in uniform, they continue to serve and support quietly across our nation. There are times when their voices need to be raised, and they do so, but never for personal gain, but to protect and honor the many they represent. My name is Mark Graham, and I'm a soldier for life. Yet today, I must tell you, I am here as much a dad and a father as I am a general officer, because my wife, Carol, and I do know the pain of sacrificing a child in service to our nation. The fields of battle and strife never seem to end in this world, as America continues to send our treasured sons and daughters to other lands to help bring peace, freedom, and democracy to others oppressed and captured by their circumstances. Why do we do this? Why not just stay home and enjoy what we have, life in America? We do this because we are Americans, always reaching out to others, whether it is on our soil here at home or in faraway places, many of which we can't even pronounce the names of. We are Americans first. Together we stand for freedom. This day, Memorial Day, is about those that lay down their lives, the ones who go where asked to visibly show others what liberty is all about, and to help them feel what we already have. The Bible tells us that those that believe and have not seen have faith, and faith is daring the soul to go beyond what the eyes can see. When thinking of freedom, we expect freedom in America. You cannot touch it or smell it. You can't see it or taste it. Yet I propose you can feel it. It is also important that we gather today in tribute to the men and women of our nation who answered the call to service of our country, and to expose the next generation of children to the sacrifices others have made on their behalf. Memorial Day became a national holiday in order that America might, quote, encourage the people of the United States to give something back to their country, which provides them so much freedom and opportunity, end quote. Those listed on the gravestones here have given up everything for you and for me. So many have given up the picnics, the barbecues, the family events and ball games because of their service to our nation. You honor them today and every day by your American spirit and love of others. The feeling here today is a good one. I can see why you stand tall and proud here. The spirit of America is alive and well in this place. We were grateful to have lived and been stationed here at Fort MacArthur in San Pedro for 2 years with 2 of our children that attended San Pedro High School. There are loved ones listed on walls and memorials across the country and even across countries around the world. I think you may be feeling today what I am feeling. The freedom of America, a feeling so many in our world never feel. The sacrifice made by so many and the emptiness of others that we will miss forever. My wife Carol, our daughter Melanie, and I understand the sacrifice. Our son, Second Lieutenant Jeffrey Graham, was killed by an IED while leading his platoon on a foot patrol in Chaldea, Iraq, outside Fallujah. Our other son, Kevin, was a senior Army ROTC cadet studying to be an Army doctor. Kevin died tragically fighting a different battle, a battle of depression. So Memorial Day is very personal for some of us. Aware of the importance of this sacrifice, a former artillery officer in World War I, then serving as the Librarian of Congress, wrote this poem for a memorial service to commemorate the dead, but also to ensure those who survive have a crucial responsibility to make the deaths meaningful. The young dead soldiers do not speak, by Archibald MacLeish, and I quote, nevertheless, they are heard in the still houses. Who has not heard them? They have a silence that speaks for them at night and when the clock counts. They say, we were young, we have died, remember us. They say, we have done what we could, but until it is finished, it is not done. They say, we have given our lives, but until it is finished, no one can know what our lives gave. They say, our deaths are not ours, they are yours. They will mean what you make them. They say, whether our lives and our deaths were for peace and a new hope, or for nothing, we cannot say. It is you who must say. They say, we leave you our deaths. Give them their meaning. Give them an end to the war and true peace. Give them a victory that ends the wars and peace afterward. Give them their meaning. We were young, they say. We have died. Remember us, end quote. You know, an article from Marine Corporal Susan Smith states this, and I quote, Americans like these did not fight for glory, but to fulfill a duty and a sacred trust. They did not yearn to be heroes. They yearned to see mom and dad again and hold their sweethearts and watch their sons and daughters grow up. They wanted the daily miracle of freedom in America, but they gave all that up and gave life itself for the sake of others, end quote. We are thankful for the gift of life and also for the gift of heroes. Several years ago, I had the opportunity to participate in a wreath laying ceremony in the Alamo. As we walked across carrying the wreaths on the streets of this festive city, it was so silent in a most respectful way. My mind focused on the past as I could almost imagine the nearly 200 soldiers that faced the almost 2,000-man army of General Santa Anna for close to 13 days. Legend holds that Colonel Travis drew a line on the ground and asked any man willing to stay and fight to step over the line. All but one crossed over the line. Much like today's all-volunteer military, these brave men, which included Jim Bowie and David Crockett, decided to serve in a place where they made the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. The Alamo remains a hallowed place, truly a hallowed ground, still today. To me, this is the reason why we say, remember the Alamo. So many more eloquent than I have said things that capture the essence of this day. Before the raid on the beaches of Normandy, General Dwight D. Eisenhower said this to his troops, and I quote, "The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you," end quote. Congressman Jerry Moran, on Memorial Day 2004, said this, and I quote, "Life is God's most precious gift. On Memorial Day, we honor those who put their lives at risk for the good of our country. All loss of human life is a tragedy. Our country has had many wars in its history. It is remarkable that from the Revolutionary War to today, we have been blessed with the men and women willing to sacrifice God's gift of life. But we must know that the cause for which they gave their lives is worthy. Freedom is worth death. For without freedom, life loses its meaning. Love of liberty exceeds love of life," end quote. The nation, state, and community honors each and every one of you who has served your country, and to those who can no longer march, sail, or fly because they are in the final resting place. May God bless you all. To all veterans and serving members of our armed forces, as well as to the great families that support and stand by them each and every day, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for serving and for continuing to support those that serve today. People like you, Americans across our great nation this Memorial Day weekend, are having services to honor our fallen. Our family, along with so many of you here today, take peace and comfort knowing that our loved ones are fallen, but will never, never be forgotten. I will close with this powerful statement from President Abraham Lincoln in a letter he sent to a mother who lost her son at Gettysburg. And I quote, "I pray that our Heavenly Father may assuage the anguish of your bereavement and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost, and the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom." End quote. As we depart this place today, I close as I always do. When my wife Carol and I went to the cemetery after we buried our second son within 8 months, we got there very early in the morning, and someone had already been there before us. And at the gravesite, there was a simple cloth banner written in magic marker, these simple words: "Land of the free, because of the brave." Land of the free, because of the brave. And today, we honor America's brave. God bless you.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget